The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Welcome to episode 7 of Work the Left Side. I am joined today by Ryan Palmer and we are talking about Raven. It's another spotlight episode. Me and Ryan sit down, look at Raven's matches, promos, look at his career, look at ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. The dude's smashed it everywhere. Obviously talking WrestleMania 17, that triple threat match. It was just a really cool episode. Obviously Raven's one of those guys that I've been into since day one, really. Always a big fan. Always liked the characters, and he was definitely a character. So watch it, enjoy it, and let us know any future suggestions for spotlight episodes. And yeah, that's it. So I will leave you to enjoy the show. Hit subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when we drop more videos. And I'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Right, this is episode 7, I believe, or if you want to semi-class it down, this is the second spotlight episode with myself and Ryan Palmer. So welcome to Work the Left Side. Ryan, say hi.
Yo, how's it going, folks? How's it going, Nick?
Yes, all good. Barring the snuffly nose. So if I sneeze at any point during this show, I apologise. I've literally just dragged my ass out of bed to do this. So here we go. It's this spotlight. Obviously, the first spotlight episode we did it on Bret Hart. This one we're doing it on Scott Levy. We are doing it on the Raven, or just Raven, sorry. So quote the Raven, nevermore. And kudos to the people who say quote as well, not quote. Even though I did notice he does say quote, even when he's doing it, he says quote.
Too many chair shots to the head, man. That's what it is.
Because that's the misinterpreted quote, innit? Well, pun intended, but yeah, it's not quote the Raven.
Quote the Raven.
Yes, but it's a minor legal. We'll let him off. So basically, this episode we are looking at the career. We're going to look at some sort of matches, some hidden gems. Obviously, everybody knows how cool the WrestleMania 17 match is with Kane.
Yes.
So that hardcore match. Yeah, it's the nuts. It's got to be Raven's most viewed match, purely because it's on WrestleMania 17, which is the best ever WrestleMania. So, is that Raven's best ever match? We will find out. We've got hidden gems. We've got some WWE matches. We've got some Ring of Honor matches. We've obviously got ECW. I've got a few WCWs, some TNAs. What I didn't realise though is when I was doing my research on him was that he was an associate producer for WWE before he really got like big into the sort of, before he became a big time wrestler. Obviously they hired him, or he wanted to be hired as a wrestler, but they kind of hired him up as more of a manager.
Yeah.
And then they slid him off into like associate producer role. Like he was like second in charge of like Raw at the time, just like producing it kind of thing, not writing it, but he had his hand in like producing it. And just things like that, I just never realised. And he was quite young at the time as well. He was only like, early 20s, mid 20s. And the dude's got like a back office job and stuff already.
That's pretty fucking awesome, that. Shit.
Yeah. But that's apparently why he had beef with Vince, because apparently him and watched a lot of shooting interviews with him and documentaries on him and stuff for this. And they all kind of put in that he used to him and Shane were really tight back when he was associate producer.
Yeah, he used to.
Him and Shane used to go out all the time. And literally, Shane was apparently always used to phone up Vic, which is what Johnny Polo used to call Vince. And he'd be like, "Yo, Vic, I'm staying at Scotty's house." And that, that'd be it. It'd be like everybody thought he was schmoozing up to the boss's son or schmoozing up to the boss by his son. It's like, no, it totally had the opposite effect, man. It pissed him off no end. Vince hated him for this kind of thing. It's like, oh damn, Jesus.
I think that led to the infamous "Who the fuck hired the Raven?" or "Who the fuck hired Johnny Polo?"
Johnny Polo, yeah, that was the in like '99. No, not '99. Sorry, because he came back at Unforgiven, won it 2001, I think, or 2000, yeah. And yeah, apparently Michael Hayes, within like a couple of months, it's sort of been overheard to say, yeah, Vince is complaining because like, who the fuck hired Johnny Polo? At that point, Raven was like, oh Jesus, here we go.
Writings on the wall already.
Yeah, that's it. Which is a shame, man, because I think anyone who's a fan of Raven can agree the dude could have been so much more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it could have been so much more in WCW if politics at the time and stuff had allowed it, but coming into WWE at that point, man, before the invasion, with the talent that they had there, the psychology, it's crazy because obviously, as well, we'll discuss right through things here and there, but what you remember about him from ECW and WCW to a point is promos. I mean, the dude smashed it on ECW. The guy he was good in the ring. He did what he did. He had the psychology down, but his promos, man, you became emotionally invested in his stuff, which you didn't get in WWE because they didn't allow him the character promos.
He did one. What about me? What about Raven promo? That was it. They didn't allow him to do anything else. It was such a tragedy that they didn't allow him to do anything more than that. It's just a shame.
Well, again, going through these documentary stuff, I think before he kind of got booted and went over to TNA, he was basically kind of running Heat. He had him and Stevie Richards just basically in control of Heat, just doing what they wanted to do during Heat, which became like Stevie Night Heat, and then like Raven was trying to get this 7 kind of storyline, and he started it. They had like one, and then it just got. I think Bruce Pritchard just didn't like it or didn't get it, and he was going to work his way through the sins, like every episode of Heat, and it's just that would have fit perfectly. But again, it still would have only been on Heat. It's not like it would have been on Raw or SmackDown. So, as you are the guest, first match.
Well, it'll be on your list. It's obviously on my list. It'll be on everyone's list. It's on Luke Owen's list. It's Luke Owen's favourite match, the WrestleMania 17 hardcore triple threat match between him, Kane, and Big Show. And as he does, he comes to the ring with a shopping cart full of plunder. It's like a stop sign, a cleaner's stop sign. He's got a kendo stick in there. He's got a freaking rubbish bin. It's just him and Kane, first of all, starting off. They're both beating the shit out of each other before Big Show even makes his entrance. Big Show makes his entrance and he just strolls into the ring doing all that shit. It's just like, what's going on, Show? You need to hurry up. They go for
no one.
You don't hurry for no one. It's like short-haired, Freddie Mercury-haired Big Show as well. They fight through the crowd. The camera just loses them. You get different camera cuts, and each camera cut is just like, where the fuck are they? You don't know where they are. Eventually, camera catches up with them. They go to the backstage area, the infamous. Actually, no, it's not that point yet. Raven gets thrown into a wall and dents the wall. So it's like some area that's been specially made for him. You can see the plasterboard and stuff. It's just like it's a fake kind of area.
There's a as well at some point, isn't there?
Yeah, he gets thrown through a window, gets thrown through a door, gets thrown into a wall, and dents the wall. An absolute clusterfuck of a match. And then the most infamous bit where they go to the golf carts. Raven jumps in the golf cart, gets the canes on the back of his golf cart, drives 5 feet into a fence, and there's cables everywhere, and it's just like shit. apparently one of those cables
This close.
this close to completely killing the whole feed to the whole fucking thing. That would have been it done. And then you got Big Show with the ref on the back of his. I might have got it the wrong way around, but the ref is on the back of one of theirs, and they're chasing him and Kane. He's on the floor. Raven's on the floor. The fucking golf cart that Big Show's driving nearly runs over Raven's leg. And then they go back to the entrance ramp, or they're fighting to the entrance ramp. Kane kicks. Kane's about to. I don't know. Big Show's about to choke Raven off the stage, but Kane comes along, kicks them both off, elbow drops them through like onto the like some sort of ready-made thing that's been made straight through the arm. And then Kane wins the Hardcore Championship. The referee has to like count on the side of the stage. 1, 2, 3. It's just like, it is one of the biggest clusterfuck matches. Apart from there's like an even worse one later on in the show, which is the Legends Battle Royale. But I think the Hardcore Championships. Oh no, that's different WrestleMania. So yeah, so it's like one of the most clusterfuck matches in WWE WrestleMania history. It is really, really good though.
So entertaining, and like fair play to Raven as well, because you get put in a match against Big Show and Kane, your first thought's gonna be, fuck. I mean, you've got two like 7 foot guys. Raven's what, like 6'1", 6'2" at a push, and you just be like, oh. But it fit in so well. They worked it out so well. Obviously, because it's a hardcore Ravens rules sort of match. Yeah, that was his equalizer. But yeah, I love that match. It's definitely within my top 5 sort of Raven matches. And I say it's just the fact it's WrestleMania 17 as well. It's just played so many times because it's part of the greatest WrestleMania.
It certainly is.
I'm going to jump to the last one that I watched before this, so it's still fresh, as I'm highly medicated at the minute. So if I forget anything, I do apologise. Before I called you, I just finished watching. It was Raven versus X-Pac in TNA. It was meant to be Raven versus Hardy, but they sort of said that Hardy had to be substituted out of the match for whatever reason. Speculate, Hardy being Hardy, he may not have turned up yet. He may have turned up and been sent home. Who knows? But it was, I totally forgot about this, but Raven had his own style of matches in TNA called the Clockwork Orange House of Funds. And just the setup was really weird, man. You had like, in this one, anyway, you had like, it was a 6-sided ring, obviously, so it was TNA. It was when TNA were doing the 6-sided ring. And over 2 sides, you had like just a cage.
Yeah.
Like they're structured like the cage. And then all the way around the ring, they had just like weapons hanging and stuff. And you had a staple gun. And it was weird seeing X-Pac in a hardcore match for a start, because it's not something I'm really associated with. I don't sort of, see with Jeff, you can kind of understand if it's going to be Jeff, because him and RVD and him and Raven went at it a few times in WWE, so I associate Jeff with hardcore. But X-Pac, it's just like, it was nice to see him. It started bleeding early as well. They both like blood pouring. Raven went at him with the staple gun quite early on. He was just ploughing it into his head. X-Pac got a receipt, got Raven in the happy zone with the staple gun.
Is he just Sean Waltman in this? Is he, or is he Six-Pac or something like that?
Oh, I want to say this stuff. Actually, I want to say they did call him X-Pac, but they can't have done, obviously, because that's a fact. It must be Sean Waltman. I must have just been hearing it, selective hearing or something, or say because I'm highly medicated, I might have just been tripping out a little bit and hearing X-Pac, which is never a good sign. Obviously, watching far too much wrestling. But yeah, Sean Waltman. We'll say he was calling him Sean Waltman. And there's various spots in it. There's one bit where there's running up like the ramp, and Raven just got him and flung him. And we're not talking like, it must have been like exaggeration wrestling terms, but there's like a 10-foot drop from the top of the rampway to the bottom, and it was just literally just threw him and it just looked like nothing down there. And then he kind of came round, and the referee had to do the count on the war thing again. And it's like 1, 2. It's like no, kicked out. And it was just I advise anyone to go watch it. It's just the ending of it was basically some sort of, it was like I would say like a suplex into the cage, but the cage wall fell. So X-Pac just fell with it. Kind of like it fell through, like Austin in this Valentine's Day Massacre when he throws him against the cage, hits the cage falls down. X-Pac Waltman's just sparked out on the cage, and Raven's just kind of like nonchalantly just kind of rolls out the ring and rolls down the cage, and then lays on top of him. 1, 2, 3, jobs are good. But it's just a brutal match, very brutal match, which I wasn't expecting with Waltman's involvement. But yeah, I don't remember much of Raven in TNA at that time. I think he kind of came and went before I got into it big time, because I think I got into TNA very much about 2004, 2005.
Yeah, I remember him quite a bit in there. I remember a sizable 2-year chunk of him in TNA, and it was like, for me, his best run, for me, of his career. I didn't.
Well, from what I've seen from watching this, because I've seen a couple of matches with him versus AJ, which are really good matches. I mean, there's one of them where he even hits the Styles Clash on AJ, and it's like, okay. But yeah, it's just I just totally did not remember that part from his career, and I've enjoyed watching him, because I definitely recommend anyone to go out and watch Raven in TNA. You obviously associate him with ECW, WCW, and WWE. Yeah, man, like you just said, his stuff in TNA, from what I've seen of it, is on par with anything else. So, what's your second one?
Well, speaking of TNA, so alluding to, for me, his best run in TNA, my favourite of his matches in TNA was at Slammiversary 2005, which he was in the King of the Mountain match.
Yes.
Which was like a reverse ladder match, instead of with extra steps. So instead of climbing the ladder to retrieve a belt and being the winner, you've got to make yourself eligible. First of all, you've got to pin someone. And the person that you pin spends time in the penalty box for like 2 minutes, and then so you're eligible to grab the title, climb the ladder, and hang the ladder above the ring to be the champion. So this, as I say, this is 2005, a culmination of like a 2-year period of where Raven was going after the NWA TNA title. There was like several stumbling blocks where he would get so close, but he'd be yet so far. I think the Gathering, which is Julio De Niro and CM Punk, turned on him during this time as well. It may have been afterwards, but I'm sure it was during this time as well. So, and he had like a bit of a mini war with Abyss as well.
James Mitchell kept interjecting himself into Raven's matches and stuff.
Yes, he was involved quite a bit. And there was like this sidebar. There was this little website knocking about which mocked up like a little My Way type video of Raven's like career in TNA up until the point of him winning this match, and it was set to Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun, and it was like Destiny Fulfilled. It was really, really, really good. So in this match was like chock full of stars as well. It had AJ Styles, Monty Brown, Pounds, period. Sean Waltman was in this one. Styles, Abyss as well. So it was like a complete, again, another one was just a complete clusterfuck. Everyone's just trying to pin everyone. There's little alliances being made between Styles and Sean Waltman, and then Sean Waltman turns on Styles to make himself eligible. Monty Brown dishes out some decent pounces.
Yeah, pounces Abyss off the ladder, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Abyss is like halfway off the ladder, pounce him off the ladder. He goes through a table as well. Styles goes through a table. Even like before the match as well, there's like a good couple of promos. Raven is on the stairs and there's candles up the stairs, and he cuts a really impassioned promo, and it's really like on the level of like the "What about me? What about Raven?" kind of promos. But he says, just like, "Tonight will be my destiny fulfilled." Monty Brown is doing his promos as well. He's just like. AJ Styles, he does an impression of AJ Styles. It's not going to be your night. Sean Waltman, it's not going to be your night either. And just a pounds period and wipes his sweat on the fucking microphone. Jarrett was supposed to be in this match, but Jarrett was substituted with Waltman for some reason. Then at the close to the end of the match, Raven gets the belt. He climbs the ladder. Abyss tries to thwart him, so he can't get the belt hung, but he manages to fight Abyss off. Abyss falls down. Raven's busted open and stuff. Hangs the belt. He's the champion, and the crowd just goes completely wild. He's doing his with the belt several times, even on the ring ropes as well. So that, I think, is one of my most favourite Raven matches in TNA because of the build up.
You get the payoff, man.
Yeah, excellent payoff there. That was like long time storytelling before long time storytelling was a thing or was a fashionable thing. So that one there, Slammiversary 2005, absolute splendor.
Yeah, I must admit, that's from what I saw of the TNA stuff. They gave him the time, like you said, they let him cut the promos, they let him develop the character. Gave him a story arc, which is what somebody like Raven needs. That story arc. You can go out and have hardcore matches week in, week out, like you do with WWE, but you don't get that emotional connection. You don't get that kind of. You're not drawn to the character. Which, yeah, I think TNA realised that, and then just they had the talent as well, man. At the time, you had like Raven working, let's say, with AJ Styles. Monty Brown was immense.
Yes, he was.
Loved him in TNA. Gutted when nothing came of him going elsewhere, kind of thing. I can't remember the exact reason why. I don't know if it was injury or something went amiss. But it was just a freak occurrence, and he just had to back out or something.
He ended up in WWE.
Yeah,
he was Marcus Corvon or some shitty name.
Yeah, because it's an ECW, wasn't he? He was in the WWE ECW. Yeah, I don't know if he got an injury or something happened, but yeah, he stepped away from the business now, which was a massive shame because I thought the guy was immense in TNA. He was just the alpha male, man. It was Monty Brown, who was great.
Yes.
But yeah, him against Raven was just the talent they had there for Raven to work with. I sort of said that I've seen a few matches with him against AJ Styles, and this is babyface AJ Styles, man. You know, when you go back now and look at, like, you see AJ Styles in TNA at this time, these little like chub fringe.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? You know, at that point, you know the guy's good, but you're like,
he was fantastic then. He lived up to his name. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yes.
Back then.
I mean, I still no idea how he used to slide under the rails.
Yes.
It was like the rails were like, you know, this far off the floor, and somehow he managed to slide under them. I was like, always amazed me. But yeah, that's TNA all over. We'll probably do an AJ Styles episode at some point. But yeah, man, Raven in TNA. If you haven't watched it or you don't know much about it, go check them out. I think there's absolutely shed loads of TNA matches on YouTube.
Full matches on YouTube. The full 2005 Slammiversaries on YouTube, in fact.
Well, there you go. So yeah, you can see House of Fun, Clockwork Orange House of Fun, one I mentioned with Sean Waltman. I watched that on YouTube. So just go knock yourselves out. You'll have a lot of fun. I'm as much as I didn't used to watch WCW, I generally use shows like this as an excuse to go back and watch some stuff that I've never seen before. And I'll watch Slamboree 99, which was a triple threat tag match for the tag titles, which was Raven and Perry Saturn against Malenko and Benoit versus Ray and Kidman.
Whoa.
Yeah. Seriously, I was like,
Shit.
somebody put me onto that match. I was like, okay, cool. At that point, Benoit and Malenko were part of the Horsemen, so you had Arn at ringside as well. Yeah, I can't do this match justice. I know at that point WCW kind of started to go downhill. Ray was unmasked, so it's an unmasked Mysterio. But yeah, the match is immense. Saturn is so underappreciated as well. You go back and watch stuff occasionally, like watching old school ECW matches and stuff like Perry Saturn is absolutely boss. The dude was just an absolute force who never really found where he belonged, I think. I mean, the best thing he ever did was with a mop, character-wise. But in the ring, being part of Raven's flock was great. Him and Ravens worked so well together. The weird thing about this was, though, it came on the back of their feud. Only like a few months earlier, they were going at each other. Raven Saturn walked away from the flock, blah, 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 turned his back on them, beat everyone up. And a couple of months later, WCW Logic, they were tag team partners again, kind of thing. They were back together. But yeah, I highly recommend this match again. It starts off with it's 3 guys in the ring, triple threat. It's not a tornado style, so obviously everybody else is, you can only tag your own partner. Pretty much Malenko and Benoit just bossing the ring. You know, they know that they're doing what they're doing. 5-10 minutes into it, everybody's getting their own little spots. And then that klaxon noise that nobody else hears goes off. Happens in the AEW a lot, but WCW were doing it years ago. But everybody just storms the ring. You know, you've just got 6 men going at it. Perry Saturn's bossing everyone. Raven's being the smart one, as his character would be, kind of just hanging back a little bit, letting everybody else doing their thing. Although he does hit the 3 amigos. Benoit does the 3 German suplexes as normal, and then within a couple of minutes, Raven's got him, and he hits him with 3 sort of snap suplexes, or vertical suplexes they call them, but they're more snap suplexes. And it's just like, it was just a weird moment, because obviously you associate that with Eddie. But to see Raven, you know, pulling it off years before Eddie did it, very much, yeah, it's just a weird thing that kind of stuck in my head. And then it goes back to Malenko and Benoit bossing the ring. You got Benoit working on Kidman while Malenko's just walking around him, making sure nobody else gets in. Arn gets involved. But then a mysterious figure comes out from the crowd. He's wearing a Sting mask. He's got a baseball cap on. Kidman's about to hit the shooting star splash. This guy knocks his leg away, falls onto top turnbuckle. Raven kind of manages to jump up, hooks his head. Even flow, 1, 2, 3. Raven and Saturn walk out victorious. And the masked figure turns out to be Canyon. Who better? But yeah, it was just a really good match. It was probably the match of the pay-per-view as well. I quickly looked at some of the other matches whilst I was on there, just because it'd be rude not to. Yeah, that was definitely one that stuck in my head.
Well, this one, my next one is another TNA match, or NWA TNA, and it's kind of at the beginning of Raven's odyssey for the NWA Championship. It's the #1 contenders match for the NWA Championship, and it's versus AJ Styles. It's kind of like more angle than it is more action in the ring, but the action in the ring is still really, really good nonetheless. So it's AJ's like busted open within the first few minutes because he gets hit with a chair, but the ref just doesn't. The ref allows it for some reason. I don't know if the ref's just giving some sort of leeway or it's some sort of fuck up by TNA at this point, but the ref just allows it. So he's busted her. Raven is grounded AJ Styles. AJ Styles can't do any of his high-flying moves after all this. So he's either got him in a sleeper or a headlock. He's ground and pound him. AJ Styles tries to like do all his moves, but he's so woozy and so fucking out of it. Also, Jeff Jarrett's on commentary as well. And Jeff Jarrett seems to be a face in this, and Jeff Jarrett is completely disgusted at what's going on. He interjects himself in what's going on. He this is another weird thing as well. He hits. He goes to hit Raven, but Styles gets in the way. Styles gets hit. Then he hits Raven. Then he goes back to Styles. And again, the ref just like, no, the ref just allows it. So it's kind of like, it's not playing into the story as such, to just ignore it. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's one of those things that are fucked up in TNA. So it's one of those things that lets TNA down. See, there's the end of the match is pretty fucked up as well because the ref gets hit and he takes a powder. The ref's out of it. So Styles goes for a pin and it's just like, oh, what's going on? He can't go for a pin. There's no ref. So the original ref that Raven hit. Trying to read my friggin' notes. Styles hits the Clash and only gets a 2 off. The original ref, Raven hits Styles with a chair at the same time. Oh, that's it. Yeah, they there's a chair shot. There's like 2 refs that take a bump, and they're both out in the ring. Both refs are just sparked out. So Raven decides to get a chair. Styles decides to try and attack Raven. Raven goes to swing with a chair, hits AJ Styles, but at the same time, AJ Styles comes at Raven with a kick, like a Claymore kick, and he connects with Raven. They both connect at the same time, so they're both out.
Rocky 2.
So then both refs start counting 1, 2, 3, and it's just like, oh shit, who's won? And Jeff Jarrett's just there, just like, oh, so what's going on here? He walks up the fucking ramp, and that's the end of the match. I think that leads on, the next show is, I can't even remember what happens to the next show, but yeah, I don't know why I actually picked this match because it isn't really that good, but it's like, I think it just symbolizes the beginning of the constant sort of screw jobs or screwy finishes or dusty finishes that happen with Raven in this 2-year odyssey of him going for the NWA title. So it's just like a double 3 count somehow of 2
you
refs.
took it up there, didn't you? The dusty finishes, you know what I mean? There's no decisive, nothing decisive about it. I think I noticed that on the Clockwork Orange one that I mentioned with Sean Waltman. At some point, Waltman's handcuffed to like the ring post, and Dusty comes out with security, and it's like, okay, so obviously his head bucket around about this time. So yeah, that would be why there's probably a lot of shenanigans, a lot of gaga. As good as Dusty was, you hear X amount of stories, don't you, where he loved his gimmick matches. He loved, he's probably the guy that was responsible for having every single match inside of a cage in, was it Lockdown? TNA pay-per-view used to be called.
Yeah.
Every match is inside the cage.
Every match is a cage. 6 sides of steel.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah. Which is, crap, who was it? On the sidebar. Who's the dude who ran across the top?
Elix Skipper,
that's it.
Yeah. That was a fucking spot and a half. That.
Yes.
I don't think that's ever been repeated. I don't think anyone can top that spot.
The only person who comes close would be Felix for me.
Oh,
you can't see it with the top rope run.
Oh, yes.
Might be able to do it.
He probably could. Yeah.
Yeah, Elix Skipper, man. I'm sure he's fighting like Christopher Daniels at the time or something. He just did it into like a Hurricane Run or whatever off the top of the cage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was just Elix Skipper, man. They had some amazing talent at that time. It's just the X Division was so good. I'm going to become the WCW guy for some reason, which is weird because I don't even really like WCW. But another one of my matches is a triple threat. It was from Uncensored 98. DDP versus Benoit versus Raven for the US title. I'm not going to go into much detail about the match itself. It's just absolute banger. If you can find it anywhere, if you got the network, just go watch this match, man. It was just unreal. As you would expect, DDP was at his height of popularity at this sort of point. He was the People's Champion before The Rock was the People's Champion. It was kind of like his moniker. Benoit was a solid workhorse. You knew exactly what you get from Benoit. 98, 99 time. And Raven just, again, it was just the contrast to these other two guys. But it went out everywhere. You know, this went up the ramp. It was contested under like Raven rules again, which I think pretty much every Raven match in WCW was. He kind of had it in his contract that all of his matches must be Raven's rules matches, which was kind of a cool little niche as well. It made him stand out. Yeah, if you just get a chance to watch this match, it's just superb. I want to say that Raven won it. He won the US title. It's just don't give away the end, and he beat DDP. Only to lose it to Goldberg the next night, basically. It's just like, what the hell? You just got through this awesome match. You're like totally elevated. You know, you got this buzzing sensation. Like Raven's won it. They've put the belt on Raven. Here we go. And then next night losing it to Goldberg. It's like, oh, fuck's sake. But yeah, that would be another one of my honorary mentions. So I'm not going into too much detail about it. But if you take any matches away from watching this that you want to go and watch, definitely say Uncensored 98, DDP, Benoit, Raven. Yeah, get it watched. It's awesome.
Go on, you.
Yep, no, God, dude. Sorry.
My last two from Ring of Honor.
Yes.
So my next one would be another one where he's in the middle of a huge feud. This one's a feud of CM Punk. So I think this may have been like the Summer of Punk or something. I remember it from the Wrestling Channel. Punk was on some fucking tirade against Raven because he saw Raven as his sort of
anti-straight edge.
He was anti-straight edge and was like, yeah, he hated his dad as well because his dad was like a drunken bum, and he was like, right, I want to beat you like my drunken dad. I hated him, and he hated everyone that wasn't straight edge, and he would just cut promos like this against the crowd and against Raven, near enough in every frigging match that he had. Hated the lifestyle that Raven lived, saying that he was a drug addict. He's not an athlete. He's unfit. He doesn't have respect for the business. But then Raven was like, Punk reminded him of himself when he was coming up in the business. And this feud even spilled over into MLW at some point, and went back in before MLW was kind of relaunched. So this first one was Death Before Dishonor, 2003, the dog collar match. Again, you've got CM Punk cutting a promo in the ring, just slagging off, roasting fucking Raven, slagging off the crowd. You know, I have no respect. Oh, you follow him. If you're following, you're evil, this, that, and the other. Danny Doran's in the crowd for some reason. He gets fucking roasted by Punk. The commentary are like, oh yeah, well, why is he saying all this shit? Don't you know that like Raven had a bit of a privileged background, and it's like, maybe they're alluding to his alter ego of Johnny Polo or something. I don't know. So yeah, he's gonna beat Raven like his deadbeat drunken dad. Drinking drugs has ruined his career, ruined his life. Before the frigging collar is put on Punk, Raven's spitting on fucking Punk. So it's just like a real genuine heat that they've got between the two of them, genuine hatred or something like that. Collar's put on, fighting out the ring. Punk's busted open already. It was like within the first 2 minutes of the match. The crowd brawling. Raven throws Punk into actually Punk gets a chair, not Punk. Raven gets a steel chair, gives it to a fan. A fan's holding the chair up like this. He gets Punk, flings Punk chair. It's like the weakest thing because the fans just like, ooh, he doesn't hold it. So Punk kind of goes through the chair instead of like hitting it smack on because the fan doesn't have like a proper grip on it. So that's like one of the maddest crowd brawls ever. Go back in the ring. Punk gets put through a table that's on the just lent up in the corner of the ring, which Raven set up. There's something. Where would it? Yeah, Punk low blows Raven with the steel chain, like, whipping him up like that. Raven makes a comeback and does his discus clotheslines, hits about 10 of them in a row, and then he goes for a 2 count. He goes for a count, goes for a cover, gets a 2 count. This is 23 minutes into the match. That's the first fucking count. They've been fighting everywhere and everything's been going on. And then 23 minutes into the match, they get the first count. So Colt Cabana comes in as well, tries to interfere. Colt hits Raven with the even flow DDT onto the steel chair. Danny Doring comes into the ring, fights Colt off. At the end, friggin' the one person you would never expect to come in and save Raven is fucking Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer comes in, helps Raven. Raven gets the pinfall on CM Punk. They both embrace in the middle of the ring. Raven gets beer, pours it all over CM Punk. So it's just like, I don't know, some sort of weird full circle between Tommy Dreamer and Raven. So it's a very gruesome brawl, very bloody, very violent match of this particular series. Although the next one that I'll tell you about after yours is it's equal in brutality, if not worse in brutality. But it's very surprising to see Tommy Dreamer turn up and help Raven, and they even embrace in the ring as well.
Again, I mean, my lack of Ring of Honor knowledge. I always kind of thought I knew a bit about it, but I don't know a lot about it. But yeah, I don't even recall Tommy Dreamer being in Ring of Honor. It might have just been, I don't know if it's just occasional appearances, but I do love the fact that it seems to kind of be, no matter where this whole Tommy Dreamer and Raven storyline seems to go with them wherever they go, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like it's already written. It's kind of like, obviously it starts in ECW 95, Summer Camp Beulah, blah blah blah. Tommy doesn't get a pinfall for like 2 years until Raven leaves to go to WCW. Then he finally gets the pinfall. Then they make reference to it in WWE, WWF at that point. Obviously, then they turn up. They've got a connection to Ring of Honor. They're in TNA at the same time as well. I saw a few brutal matches. Again, going through like the TNA archives. I think there was one Raven versus Dreamer in TNA with Mick Foley as guest referee. Again, totally forgot Mick Foley was in TNA. It's just one of those guys. I was just like, oh shit, yeah. And it's just like, yeah, it seems to be like I do remember TNA doing like a whole ECW rebirth thing. I remember
they did.
late noughties, they were desperate to try and get that sort of ECW crowd back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you had all the old school ECW guys in there, like Sabu was in there, Sandman was there, obviously Raven Dreamer.
Taz was on commentary as well.
Yes, yeah, Taz turned up. But I just like that whole sort of like, it all kind of reminds me of like Batman and the Joker or Spidey and the Green Goblin. Yep. You've always got Raven and Tommy Dreamer, the same sides of the, two different sides of the same coin kind of thing. And any wrestling fan, you could just put those two onto a show and people just know straight away. They know their history. You don't need to go through the origin story again. It's just like, oh shit, here we go. These two are just going to bang heads again. But my next one is came after the came after WrestleMania 17, and I want to say it's Backlash 2001, which was Raven versus Rhino. in the hardcore match. I'm pretty certain it was the Backlash after Mania 17. And yeah, it's just a one-on-one match where Rhino's obviously just turned up. He's looking to make his mark. Well, it's not just turned up because he was in the triple threat ladder match when he was in the TLC at Mania. But yeah, it's just him and Raven, man, just going at it. It's just sort of brutal. It wouldn't have been out of ECW. And it's just far too many little bits, bobs here and there to sort of go into. It's obviously just weapons galore, mash, bash, bash, bash. But
It's just the one where Rhino goes for the spear or the gore
into the shopping trolley.
Yeah.
I have to say, that is the lasting memory of that match, though. It is a great match, and it's not taken away from it in any way, shape, or form. But the whole lasting memory of it is there was a shopping trolley in the corner of the ring. Rhino's kind of Raven's kind of just letting off against it, kind of thing, and then Rhino just goes to score him, and he just moves out of the way, and he just got this man beast, just kind of like into the shopping trolley, like and it's just absolutely brilliant, and it's just again, if you've got the network, depending on thy age, depending on how far back you've watched wrestling, go back 2001 Backlash. Backlash was always a great pay-per-view anyway, to be fair, where it used to be. Just Raven versus Rhino, hardcore match. See Rhino inside of a trolley, man, it's just surreal. But that's just a little one. I'm also going to say, you can help me on this one. I don't know if it's the 2001 Rumble or the 2002 Rumble, which was I always deem it the hardcore Rumble because Raven did it, basically. Yeah. But yeah, it's 2001 one or 2002, and I can't remember which one it is. But you get a good sort of solid 15, 20 minutes.
2001.
Yes, one where Kane just demolishes like 11 people in it. But yeah, for good solid 15, 20 minutes, man, you've got Raven turns up, Blackman turns up, Al Snow turns up. They're all like the hardcore guys. Just all come out within like really close proximity of each other.
Yeah.
And bowling balls. You've got like Raven comes out with his trolley. That to me is another cool Raven moment within WWE. I kind of credit that to him. Even though everybody else was involved, it was him coming out with a trolley that just kind of transcended into just a hardcore carnage. And it's one and only time I've really ever seen that in the Rumble, or it done that effectively in the Rumble as well, which is mental because it's anything goes kind of match. Yeah, I want to throw weapons in there a bit more often, man. I want to sort of, a little bit. But yeah, they're my two little mini snippets of matches to watch.
It was funny the way Kane got sucked into that as well. It's like a little vortex, and he's in it. It's just like a big cloud of.
You got fire extinguishers. So you've got like smoke going off here. You got smoke going off there. I think you've got Al Snow. That's not Al Snow. Somebody sat in the corner and they get a bowling ball right in the nads.
That's Raven. Al Snow
bowls. It is Raven, isn't it? Yeah. Al Snow does it, doesn't he? Al Snow sort of throws it. Yeah, it's Raven that sells it. It's just like, bloody hell. But yeah, then you just got Kane just stood there again, looking totally out of place in a hardcore match, but not out of place. But you just think Kane's like destructive enough as it is.
Yeah.
You give the dude a bowling ball. Ain't no stopping him. Dude, what's your Ring of Honor one?
My other Ring of Honor is from. It is Beating the Odds from 2002, 2003. This is another Clockwork Orange match. Again, versus CM Punk. Again, it's basically CM. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep. I think they call it a Clockwork Orange House of Death match instead of a House of Fun match in Ring of Honor for some reason. This one, again, it's just like CM Punk. He's pissed off against Raven, yeah. So it's again in smack bang in the middle of this war, this really wretched feud that CM Punk and Raven have. And I think the violence just escalates each and every time, and these two are the most violent matches that they had. I think there's a cage match after this one. I don't even know if they have a straight wrestling match during this feud, from what I remember. I mean, during this one, Punk handcuffs Raven to the steel cage. So at one point Raven has to like fight with one hand. He's kicking at Punk with just one hand, and he just like he can't get out. He can't get out. Punk's got the ring still, so he's able to get the ring off Punk. Unhooks his hand. Colt Cabana again gets involved in this match because he is a bit of a twat in this. It's the second City Saints tag team or stable with him and with Punk and Lucy, I think her name was, or Lashley. No, I think it was Lucy. Colt Cabana even stops a 3 count. Punk hits the DDT on Raven, the even flow DDT. Punk gets put through 2 tables as well. He goes to climb up the cage. Raven bulldogs Punk through the table from the top, not the top of the cage, the top rope. From the top rope, but they're leant against the cage so they can like do it really easily and shit. Then there's another bit where Raven DDTs Punk from the top rope through a table to get the win as well. So it's just like, again, violence upon violence upon violence. Top rope DDT through a table. I don't think you get any. You probably could get worse than that. But it just doesn't get any really worse than that. But Punk gets the upper hand at the end because the lights go out for like 2-3 minutes. The lights come back on, and Raven's kind of like crucifixed on an X, the straight edge X. So he's got like barbed wire around his head, barbed wire around his arms and his legs. It's in the middle of the ring. So it's just like, so that feud continues on. So
I'm going to try to find that. It would have been at this point as well, though, when TNA and Ring of Honor kind of had a relationship where talent went between Ring of Honor and TNA, didn't they? Sort of in noise. I'm going to have to sort of try and dig up some of this Ring of Honor stuff because, again, I remember the summer of Punk. And also a massive mark for CM Punk in WWE, ECW, and then WWE kind of thing. I never saw a lot of his Ring of Honor stuff. So I'd also be interested to see if this was before the Flock, or not the Flock, whatever TNA's version of it was, where
that was a Gathering. I think it was. Would it be in 2004? So it was weird because they were feuding during 2003, 2004 in Ring of Honor, and then in TNA it was Punk and Julio De Niro as the Gathering with Punk, but then they turn on Punk during 2004. Before
two separate entities. Then there's no mixture. Basically,
no
two
mixtures.
different characters. Right. So that's cool because as much as we normally with the spotlights, we talk about the matches and stuff. I think with somebody like Raven, it's also like the moments. We can't do an episode on Raven without talking about that crucifixion sort of moment in ECW where he just pulls up Sandman on a crucifix in front of a live audience, which is obviously what Punk would have been referencing.
Yeah.
In that Ring of Honor kind of things, like the shitstorm that caused when Raven did that.
I'm back.
You kind of hear. Obviously, like Kurt Angle was in the audience at the time. That stood potentially cost Kurt Angle working with the ECW in '97 kind of thing. It's a massive what if scenario. Like if we ever do like a what if show down the road, what if Raven didn't do the crucifixion and Kurt Angle became the first gold medalist in ECW. So that's, and then obviously just I was looking at that the psychological aspect of that feud against Sandman, where there's one bit where Sandman's kid comes out and he's dressed as Raven. He just stands in front of his dad and then just does like the Raven thing, and it's just like the dude's just absolutely like psychological, just a genius kind of thing. That's another thing I've done from watching this episode is watching interviews with him. He's fucking clever, man. He's such a clever guy. And actually, he would be an asset for any company, back office. The fact that somebody hasn't snapped him up yet, I don't know what he's doing now. I presume he's just not doing a lot, really, just kind of chilling out. But if I had a wrestling company, man, I'd be climbing over people to try and get him, on my books. Coming up with storylines, coming up with angles, promos, teaching people how to do promos. Teaching people how to work ring psychology. I watched a Ring of Honor. I've got about halfway through it, but there's like a Ring of Honor seminar with him where he's talking to Gabe, and he's just talking about like dramatization of wrestling, how it's a drama, and how you react to stuff. And it's just, if it's out there, just put Raven into YouTube, and it's one of the videos that are out there. It's just him talking about the psychology of matches, the do's and don'ts of doing this, that, and the other. And it's just really, really cool. I just think he's definitely more than just the matches. He's one of those characters that you get those moments with as well as awesome matches. Trying to totally lost my own train of thought there, but that basically takes me back to the moments. He's all about it with Dreamer and Raven. They've always got that intertwined connection. I think the same goes with sort of Foley as well, because Raven kind of made his debut in ECW, and the feud was basically one of the first times I ever saw him. It was Raven and Foley versus Sandman and Funk in '95. It was just like a tag match. It was on Hardcore TV. It was just on general ECW TV at the time. It was just a clusterfuck of a match as you would expect, basically. It was just Mick Foley before he went to between his WCW and before going to WWE. It was when he was doing the whole Uncle Eric stuff. He'd be walking around with like an Eric Bischoff t-shirt in ECW just to piss people off. And then, against Terry Funk and at the time, a young Tommy Dreamer. When you go back and watch stuff now, like we said about AJ Styles earlier, man, when he looked so young with his little chavvy fringe, you see Tommy Dreamer in like '95 in ECW. It's like he was just this young, stocky, like he's got quite a well built young guy. It's just like time's not been kind, really.
Nah.
It's just bless him. It is taking a toll, but you just like, oh look at him, he's like a little baby Tommy Dreamer. But that's another match if you get a chance. Just go back and watch any of the ECW stuff between '95 and '97, where Raven, it basically just created this character because obviously he'd just come into ECW. Prior to that, he'd been Johnny Polo, Johnny Flamingo, and he's just finding his feet, doing the whole Raven thing. And another person who gets an honorary shout out, Stevie Richards. I don't think you could talk about Raven and not mention Stevie Richards as well. It's kind of like the Robin to his Batman. Because, you got to love Stevie Richards, man. The guy himself is awesome, with the exception of Right to Censor. But he was in WCW with him. He was part of the flock in ECW. He was part of the flock in WCW, sorry. I just think I didn't want to leave Stevie out. I like Stevie, so I thought I'd give him an honorary mention. So, have you got any more matches?
No more matches as such. I've got like 2 sort of honorary mentions if you find them on YouTube. There's like I think it must be an audition promo. It's like 90 seconds long, and he's cutting a promo on Men on a Mission, and there's a voice in the background saying, well, Mr. Blackwell, what do you want to talk about Men on a Mission? I don't know why it's called Mr. Blackwell. But the voice is JR's voice. It's just like, holy shit. And then he's just like, he's dressed as Johnny Polo. He's got a polo stick in his hand. He's got like a Hawaiian shirt kind of deal on. I think he's got glasses on and a hat as well. and there's just against like a green screen background, and I'm sure it must be like an audition tape. And he's just cutting a promo. Man on the mission. There, this. We're gonna fucking beat them. And then, this and never. And then the disembodied voice says, but you know they can rap, don't you? Can you rap? And then he just freestyles this rap. He's like, holy shit! He just raps, just like that. He doesn't stumble or anything. He doesn't. He just like he goes into this rap. Can't remember the words, but one of the words like, "Weebles wobble, but we don't fall down." And then he does a Mr. T impression. Well, I pity the fool who doesn't like us and whatever. And it's just like, holy shit. So there's that. I don't know, just look for Raven promo on YouTube. And his debut on Monday Night Raw with Adam Bomb, 1993, May 24. Just before it, he's just the manager, but it's funny because Bobby Heenan, you've got Bobby Heenan, Vince McMahon, and somebody else at the announcer's desk. Bobby Heenan's got monitors. He's watching TV. He's just watching random programs. And Vince is just like, can you stop doing that? You're here to do your job. You're here to commentate on this match. And he's flicking his arm, just trying to find something more interesting. And so he's flicking, and then Johnny Polo's face comes up. And he's like, oh, look, it's Johnny Polo. I know that guy. I'm friends with this guy. And Johnny Polo just goes, hey, you stay tuned. It's Adam Bomb. He's next. And then him and Adam Bomb come out, and Adam Bomb destroys this jobber in mere seconds, powerbombing him all over the place and stuff. So I remember watching WWE when the invasion started in WWE or WWF, and when Raven made his debut, I was like, I know that fucking guy. That's Johnny Polo. He looks like Johnny Polo. And it's like, how did it happen? How did he go from Johnny Polo to freaking Raven?
Did you miss that?
So bizarre.
That stuff out like in the first time round kind of thing? Is that
yes?
Go back
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I never knew him as Johnny Polo until recently when I started going back to like doing that tour of the 90s. Then I sort of clocked him. I was like, oh shit! I didn't actually realise he was anything but Raven prior to being Raven. I was the other way around. I just knew him as Raven. I never knew him as anything else. And I saw him as Johnny Polo. I was like, that dude looks familiar. I was like, oh shit, it's a young Raven. That just totally weirded me out. Going back to, you mentioned something about them saying that Raven was rich in Ring of Honor, or that he was money. Yeah, that might be a throwback to his WCW storyline. WCW basically played it out, so it turned out he was a rich kid who was rebelling against his parents, which is why he looked like, the misfit, the grunge. Him and Canyon did a whole massive storyline where Raven was getting depressed and Canyon just basically kept taking him out shopping to try and cheer him up. And he was using Raven's money to buy himself, buy him stuff, and buying him Ferraris and Lambos and things like that because Raven was minted. But yeah, he was just rebelling against his parents. But yeah, he was a rich kid basically. That was the arc WCW went down eventually.
Makes a lot of sense.
That might have been a throwback to that kind of thing. So yeah, I think basically there's in fairness, we'll probably keep we could keep going on for ages when it comes to Raven and stuff. We say there's that much stuff, but quality over quantity. I think everything we've mentioned here has been fucking gold. It's just, again, I said it's on the Bret Hart one. Obviously, you'll have heard of some of these matches. If there's any matches you haven't heard of, if you are a Raven fan, which hopefully you are, which is why you're watching this episode, yeah, man, go watch some of these gems. Obviously, watch the Ring of Honor stuff Ryan mentioned, because that's tomorrow sorted for me. That's what I'm going to be doing. Go watch TNA as well. Like I said, we both said it. On YouTube, there's numerous full matches for free on YouTube. And if you got the network, just go watch Slamboree 99 and just go watch that triple threat tag match. Absolute barn burner, absolute smashing it. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the Raven episode. We shall say nevermore. Mr. Palmer, it's been an awesome dude.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. It's been fantastic as usual. Looking forward to the next one, man.
Yes. I think we've already decided we will go down the. Well, I've already done the artwork, so we've got to do it now anyway. So we've got to do the stinger.
It's Sting.
It's Sting. We're talking Surfer Sting. We're talking James Barr Sting. We're talking Joker Sting, maybe in TNA.
Oh, yes.
So, but yeah, Ryan, man, you want to give a shout out to your Twitter?
I am
Handle?
at Yardy316 on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook as well, milling about on various sites. And that's about it, really.
He'll be the guy that's talking sense within an insensible world.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a blast as always. Look after yourself, and we'll see you soon. Adios.